Hi guys, it's Jamie here and welcome to another journal with me. Today I've already prepared a double spread by painting it with white gesso first so that we don't have my natural page colour there. I've also cut some scraps left over from my Provence journal into long strips, and all I'm going to do to prepare is, using the Mod Podge, cover the page with glue and strips. This will go down and go over onto the facing page. And the reason I've painted the background white is because I want to leave a small gap between the strips. Continue like that down the page. While that dries, I'm going to cut this spare piece of card into two large tags and two equal size pockets that the tags will fit into. To cut the tags into a tag shape, I'm going to use my plastic card with the corner cut off as a template. With the pockets, we're going to take a notch or a keyhole out of those. To do something a little bit different to normal, we're going to do it square. We will decorate the tags in the same way that we decorated the background, but we'll be leaving purple lines. Now I've got my two tags and my two pockets covered, I'm going to add some stitch work to them. These have now been stitched into those gaps, so they look like they've kind of been patchworked. Obviously I can't do that on this page, but this page doesn't matter as much because we're going to add a background, and we're going to add these large birds that are watercolour. I'm not sure where I got them from. Before we add them, we're going to white gesso some of the page where the bird's going, because we want the bird to stand out, and we'll do the same on this page. Once we've got a basic shape, when that's dry, I'm going to go over that again to get it stronger. Then I'm going to do a similar effect on the tags themselves, slightly smaller print of the birds, and put those in the center of the tags. Now we're going to do a bit of gluing. I don't want to put it too centrally. I'm going to put it here, and if necessary I'll try and take some of that white off. This one I'm going to put down and across from that one. Notice they're both looking at each other. Now we have the pockets. While those were taking, I started to work on pulling some of this white back, and I'm loving that look because it's that sort of peeling back wallpaper, revealing old plaster, shabby look to it now. I want to do the same on here. What I did was I took a wipe and dampened down the gesso, but obviously that's not going to come off now because it's been on for quite a while. Took a metal ruler and just scraped at it like you would wallpaper. If I pulled up some paper doing this, I didn't mind that, and I want some white left here, so it does look like you're starting to scrape wallpaper, but you haven't quite got everything. One reason for doing this, apart from it's a look I quite like, is it reveals more of this paper underneath, which is pretty in itself. So we don't necessarily want to hide all of that under white gesso. I'm much happier with that look than I was with the plain white. So now I'm going to go over the whole thing with the clear gesso, or you can use matte medium. Then we have the tags to do as well. For those of you who asked me about what I'm using, this time I'm using the Dina Wakley clear gesso. It is actually my favourite. I have in the past also used the Liquitex. I do prefer this one. Now everything's dry, I can't decide whether I want to line around, ink around the edges of this page or not. Probably I will with the vintage photo, which I think is quite dry anyway, so I'm probably not going to get a huge deposit. Something about framing it, and we have to take a very small amount off those edges to make sure they fit properly. The way we can do our prompts is we can either write them on a piece of paper and then cut and paste them to the card, or you could write in between the stitching. And I think I'll just, because it's my journal and it's not one that I'm selling, I think I'll just write between the stitching. After I took 1mm off either side of these, which is known as a slither in American, because I don't know what 1mm would translate to, I decided that I did want to stain them to match the backgrounds. And I actually prefer it to the bright white anyway. The prompt for the 13th is, what part of your environment do you need to restructure? What is the best way to do so? That's for the 13th. And for the 14th, if we think restructure could be a physical, like I need to finish off organising my storeroom for the studio, or it could be emotional. And if it was emotional, then we could say, if you were restructuring emotionally, your prompt for the 14th, but you could use this in any way, it doesn't, this could still be physical, is, if you were to restructure your life, what needs to go? And that could be who, can be what or who needs to go. So they kind of relate to each other, and I will catch you very, very soon. Bye.